Listen to me. You don't have to wait until you're fearless to start. That's a lie the world told you. That confidence comes before the action. No, you act, and then confidence follow. You do it while your knees are shaking. You do it while your heart is racing. You do it even when the fear screaming louder than your dreams. That's what separates the successful from the average. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move anyway. Do it scared. That's right. You launch that business while you're still uncertain. You take that first step even if your voice trembles. You apply for the job, start the fitness journey, speak on stage, even if fear is sitting on your chest like a ton of bricks. Because guess what? Fear is always going to be there when you're stepping into something great. That's how you know you're growing. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It's not coming. The perfect moment is a myth. It's an excuse dressed in procrastination. And you're better than that. You were born for something greater. So go ahead, cry if you need to. Feel the fear, but don't stop moving. Champions aren't fearless. It's just bold enough to keep going through the fear. You think courage means you don't feel fear? No, courage means you're scared and still show up. That's power. That's real power. Because on the other side of fear is your next level. On the other side of fear is your destiny. How about if you let it paralyze you, if you let it keep you in your comfort zone, you will never see what you were truly created for. So today, right now, do it scared. Don't wait for fear to leave. Move with it, build with it, climb with it. And one day you'll look back and realize it wasn't fear holding you back. It was the belief that you had to be fearless. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. It doesn't mean stop. It doesn't mean turn back. It doesn't mean you're not ready. What it means is you're stepping into something unfamiliar, something uncomfortable, something that could change your life. Fear is like a warning light on your dashboard. It doesn't mean the car is broken. It means pay attention. That's what fear does. It grabs your attention. It shakes you. It wakes you up to the fact that you're standing on the edge of your next level. But most people, they see fear and freeze. They think because they're scared, that must mean they're not supposed to move. That must mean they're not qualified. That must mean it's the wrong time. But that's a lie. You've been conditioned to treat fear as an enemy. But the truth is, fear is just your body and mind reacting to the unknown. That's it. You're not weak for feeling fear. You're human. And the people who win in life, they don't wait for fear to go away. They move forward with it. They walk into the unknown with fear still whispering in their ear. They understand that fear shows up when you're doing something that matters. When you're stepping into purpose, when you're daring to be different. Fear shows up when you're not playing it safe. So why are you acting like it's a reason to retreat? Think about it. How many times has fear talked you out of doing something you wanted to do? How many times have you let it keep you stuck? That business idea you never launched because you were afraid to fail. That person you never reached out to because you feared rejection. The job you didn't apply for because you felt unqualified. Fear had you paralyzed. But what if you saw it differently? What if you started to treat fear as a signal that you're going in the right direction? Every time fear shows up, it's because you're challenging your comfort zone. And guess what? Nothing worth having is inside your comfort zone. Everything you want, growth, freedom, peace, success, just outside of it. And fear is the wall that separates the life you have now from the life you could have. If you let fear stop you, you never get to see who you really are. You never get to unlock your potential. That's why you got to retrain your mind. You got to tell yourself, I feel fear, but I'm going anyway. Because here's the truth. Fear and destiny often travel the same road. You don't get to your purpose without going through fear. It's the toll you pay. It's the gate you have to walk. Courage. That means when fear shows up, you don't run. You lean in. You don't retreat. You rise. You let that fear sharpen you, fuel you, remind you that you're alive and growing. Don't numb it. Don't avoid it. Embrace it. Channel it. Use it as energy to move. People think success is about being fearless. It's not. It's about doing the thing despite the fear. It's about realizing that fear doesn't get to dictate your decisions. You do. It's about deciding that your vision is stronger than your fear, your why is bigger than your worry, and your purpose is louder than your panic. So, when that fear shows up, and it will, you talk to it. You tell it you don't run this. I do. You acknowledge it, but you don't obey it. Every major breakthrough in your life is going to come with a moment of fear. That's the pattern. Fear is a companion on the road to greatness. If you're not scared, you're not stretching. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not changing. So when fear rises, let it rise, let it come. And then take the step anyway. Make the call, send the email, show up for the meeting, say yes to the opportunity, walk into the room, speak your truth. Launch the thing, start the journey. Do it scared? There are two kinds of people in this world, those who let fear hold the pen and write their story, and those who feel the fear and write it anyway. Which one are you? Because if you're reading this, I know you got more in you. I know you're standing on the edge of something important, but fear is whispering a not you. Not you, not now. And I'm here to tell you, it is you, it is now. It is your time. Fear is just a signal that you're going somewhere new. It's not a stop sign. It's a green light blinking, telling you that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're doing something that matters. And if you can move forward in the presence of fear, you'll unlock a level of strength, of faith, of power you didn't even know you had. Because fear will always be part of the journey, but it never gets to drive the car. You do. So keep going. Perfection is one of the greatest lies we tell ourselves. We think everything has to be lined up just right before we start. We believe that the stars have to align, the timing has to be ideal, and every detail must be flawless before we take the leap. But the truth is, perfection is the enemy of progress. It's the silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as preparation, but it's really fear wearing a mask. We get caught in this cycle of waiting for the right day, waiting for more knowledge, waiting until we feel more qualified. But that waiting turns into weeks, months, and years. And before we know it, we're still standing in the same place with the same dreams buried inside us, untouched and unfulfilled. People say that perfection is like it's a badge of honor. But perfectionism is strength. It's a train. It convinces you that you can't start until everything is perfect. And it convinces you that if something isn't flawless, it isn't worth doing. But the reality is nothing great starts off perfect. The first version of anything is rough. The first draft is messy. The first steps are clumsy. That's how it works. Growth is a process, and perfection is the enemy of that process because it demands an outcome without allowing the journey. Think about the most successful people in the world. They didn't get to where they are because they waited until everything was perfect. They started when they were scared. They launched before they were ready. They moved while the details were still coming together because they understood that done is better than perfect. That momentum matters more than precision. That progress is born from action, not hesitation. They didn't let fear of imperfection keep them from taking the leap. They chose to build in motion rather than wait in place. When you demand perfection from yourself before you even begin, you are putting a weight on your shoulders that was never meant to be there. It becomes paralyzing. You're not giving yourself permission to make mistakes, to stumble, to grow. And growth requires movement. It requires trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. That's how you become excellent. By showing up, not by waiting for perfection to arrive. Perfection doesn't show up one day and knock on your door. It's something you work toward gradually by doing the work imperfectly. It's better to start messy than to never start at all. It's better to look back and say, oh, wow, I've come a long way than to look back with regret and say, I wish I had started sooner. Every time you choose progress over perfection, you get closer to your goal. You gather experience. You build confidence. You learn what works and what doesn't. What doesn't? You get real feedback, not just ideas floating around in your mind. That's how real growth happens. Not in your head, but in the field, in the trenches, while you're moving and learning and failing forward. Don't let the pursuit of perfection rob you of the joy of building something meaningful. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be the best on day one. You just need to begin. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master was once a novice. They didn't start perfect. They started present. They started willing. They started afraid but moved anyway. And because of that, they improved. They evolved. They became who they are through repetition and resilience, not flawless execution. Some of the greatest opportunities you will ever have in life will come disguised as imperfect moments. The door might open when you feel least prepared. The opportunity might arrive while you're still doubting yourself. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you might miss it. You might let your dream pass you by simply because you were afraid to take a messy, awkward first step. That's the price of perfectionism. It trades long-term growth for short-term comfort. But comfort zones don't produce champions. They produce regrets. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Start waiting to be perfect and start becoming bitter. The only way you'll grow is by being willing to be seen trying, by being okay with imperfection. That's not weakness. That's strength. It takes courage to be bad at something long enough to get good at. It takes heart to show up knowing you might stumble. But that's the path. That's the process. And there's beauty in that grind. There's value in those awkward beginnings because every small, imperfect step forward is still a step in the right direction. You got something inside you the world needs. But if you keep waiting until it's perfect, they may never see it. The world doesn't need perfect. It needs real. It needs your authenticity, your heart, your passion flawed. So don't let perfectionism keep you silent. Don't let it keep you stuck. Take the step even if your hands are shaking. Share your work even if your voice cracks. Do it messy, but unsure. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward with fear still present. Too often we think being brave means never feeling scared. We look at people who speak boldly, who lead confidently, who take big risks, and we assume they don't feel what we feel. But that's not the truth. The difference between those who move and those who stay stuck is not whether or not they feel fear. It's what they do with that fear. Courage means you feel the doubt, the hesitation, the anxiety, and still choose to act. It means showing up even when your voice shakes. It means doing the thing while your hands tremble. It means standing in the moment of uncertainty and saying, I'm going anyway. Waiting until fear disappears is a trap. Fear is natural. Fear is a signal that you're stepping into unfamiliar territory. It's your body's way of saying, oh, this is new. This matters. But too many people let fear be the reason they don't start. The reason they shrink, the reason they settle. I'll start when I feel ready. But that moment doesn't come. The longer you wait, the stronger fear becomes. It grows in silence. It feeds on hesitation. And the only way to shrink fear is through action. The only way to quiet the doubt is to prove it wrong by doing the thing you thought you could do. There's something powerful about moving forward while still feeling afraid. It means you've taken back control. It means you stop waiting for your emotions to align perfectly with your goals. Because let's be honest, if you only act when you feel 100% sure, you'll rarely act at all. Growth doesn't come from safety. It comes from movement. Real transformation happens when you take steps you're scared to take. When you step into the unknown with no guarantee, just the faith that you'll figure it out. That's where courage is built. Not before the fear, not after the fear, but in the middle of. You might be telling yourself that fear is a sign you're not ready. But in many cases, fear is a sign that you are ready, that you're about to stretch, that you're about to do something meaningful. Fear shows up most when we care the most, when the stakes are high, when the dream is big, when the step matters. That's not a reason to pause. It's a reason to press forward. Let fear be a signpost, not a barrier. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're moving. Think about every breakthrough you've ever had. It probably didn't come from comfort. It came after a decision that made your heart race. It came after a conversation you were nervous to have, a risk you were unsure about, a step that felt bigger than you were ready for. But you did it anyway. And that's the key. You did it anyway. That anyway is everything. It's the moment of power. It's where the shift happens. Not because the fear disappeared, but because you refuse to let it lead. You don't need to feel fearless to move forward. You need to feel willing. Willing to be seen starting small. Willing to make mistakes. Willing to step into something you don't fully understand yet. That willingness, that quiet courage, is the foundation of all growth. And the more you act with fear present, the more you learn how to navigate it. You begin to understand that fear isn't always a stop sign. It's often just noise, loud, intimidating, persistent, but powerless if you don't give it control. The truth is, courage isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you choose to practice. It's a decision. And you don't need a perfect plan or a perfect mindset to make that decision. You just need one moment. 1 second of boldness, one choice to lean forward when everything inside you wants to run. And once you make that decision, the next becomes easier. Not because the fear is gone, but because you've proven to yourself that you can move with it. That's what builds inner strength. not waiting for fear to vanish, but learning to move with it beside you. Start seeing fear as a companion, not an enemy. Understand that it will walk with you, sit beside you, whisper in your ear, but it doesn't get to drive. It doesn't get to steer your path. You do. And every time you choose to take that step despite the fear, you grow. You become braver, stronger, more capable. Not because life got easier, but because you got tougher. You got wiser. You built a habit of courage. So take the shot. Send the message. Launch the project. Speak your truth. Walk into the room. Even if the fear is there, do it scared. Because courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means you decided something else matters more than fear, and you moved anyway. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Most people see failure as a sign that they're not cut out for something, that they're weak, or that they should quit. But the truth is, failure is often the best teacher you'll ever have. Every stumble, every misstep, every wrong turn brings you closer to understanding what works. You can't skip failure and expect to grow. You can't avoid setbacks and still expect to become great. Because it's in the struggle that you build resilience. It's through the losses that you develop wisdom. You don't become stronger by avoiding pain. You become stronger by walking through it and learning from it. When you fail, you learn things success can never teach you. Success might feel good, but failure shows you where the holes are. It exposes your weaknesses, highlights your blind spots, and forces you to dig deeper. That's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to embrace, because every failure gives you feedback. Every failure shows you what you need to improve. That feedback is priceless. Without it, you're operating in the dark. You're guessing. But failure brings clarity. It brings direction. It's telling you, this way doesn't work. Try something else. So many people quit when they fail because they believe that failure defines them. But failing doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you tried something and it didn't work this time. That's it. It doesn't say anything about your work, your potential, or your future, unless you let it. You have to separate the event from your identity. You failed at something. You are not a failure. That distinction is everything. Because when you understand that, you free yourself to try again. You give yourself permission to improve. And eventually, improvement leads to excellence. Some of the most successful people on this planet fail more times than you can count. They weren't handed victory on their first try. They faced rejection, embarrassment, setbacks, and still got back up. They weren't smarter. They weren't luckier. They were just more relentless. They refused to let failure have the final say. They saw it as data, not defeat. They asked better questions. What can I learn? What can I do differently? How can I grow from this? And by doing that, they turn failure into fuel. If you're not failing, you're not stretching. You're not reaching. You're playing it safe. You're staying in the comfort zone. But nothing great happens in the comfort zone. Greatness demands that you take risks, that you go after things that might not work, that you put yourself in a position to fail and then get better because of it. That's what real growth looks like. It's messy, it's unpredictable, but it's powerful. You have to reframe your relationship with failure. Stop fearing it. Start respecting it. Start seeing it as part of the price you pay to become who you're meant to be. You don't become unbreakable by succeeding all the time. You become unbreakable by getting knocked down and standing up stronger. Each time you fail and try again, you build grit, you build mental toughness. Those traits matter more than any talent or natural ability. Because in the real world, the most successful people aren't always the most gifted. They're the ones who keep showing up. And you have to give yourself grace too. You're human. You're not gonna get everything right on the first try. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna fall short. But that doesn't mean you're not worthy of the dream. That doesn't mean you're not capable of reaching your goals. It just means you're in the middle of the process. And the process includes failure. Every level you reach will come with its own set of challenges and setbacks. That doesn't stop. But what does change is how you handle them. You get stronger, you get wiser, you stop taking failure personally, and you start using it as a tool. You need to understand that failing forward is a skill. It's the ability to extract a lesson and move on. It's the refusal to dwell in defeat. It's about bouncing back faster, rising up with more fire each time you fall. You don't get there overnight, but you can train yourself to respond that way. Every time you fail, ask yourself, what did this teach me? That one question will shift your entire mindset. It will transform failure from something you fear into something you leverage. So don't let one mistake, one setback, one rejection make you give up on yourself. You're bigger than one failure. You're stronger than one no. You're more resilient than one defeat. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep improving. And every time you fail and rise, you're building a version of yourself that can't be stopped. Not because you never fall, but because you never stay down. In the end, failure is not the enemy. Fear of failure is. Don't let fear of failing hold you hostage. There is never going to be a perfect moment. That day you're waiting for, when all your fears disappear, when all your doubts vanish, when your confidence is at its peak, when the conditions are just right. It's not coming. And the longer you wait for that imaginary moment, the more time you waste. Time doesn't wait for you to be ready. Life keeps moving. Doors open and close. Opportunities pass. And if you're standing still, paralyzed by hesitation, you'll watch your future walk right past you. The truth is, the right time is now. Not because everything is in place, but because you're still breathing. You're still here. That's all you need. Most people miss out on the best chapters of their life because they keep waiting for a sign. They say things like, I'll start when I feel more confident, or I'll try once I have more experience, or let me get a little more prepared. But that moment of full preparation rarely shows up. And when it does, it's usually because you started anyway. You gain experience by doing. You build confidence by taking action, not by waiting. It's backwards thinking to wait until you feel ready. You'll feel ready after you move. The readiness comes from momentum, not from stillness. So what if you're scared? So what if you don't know everything? So what if it's messy, uncomfortable, or uncertain? Nobody who ever did anything meaningful started out fearless or flawless. They started with what they had. They started with their doubts still screaming in their head. They stepped out unsure, unqualified, and unsteady, but they stepped anyway. And that one act, choosing to move despite the fear, is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Everyone has fear, but not everyone has faith. And that's what it takes. Faith in yourself, in your ability to figure it out as you go, and the belief that your future is worth the risk. You can either wait for perfect timing or you can create progress, but you can't have both. Every day you wait is a day you'll never get back. Every moment you hesitate is another moment someone else is building, growing, and moving toward their vision. Life rewards those who move. It opens doors for those who knock. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. Willing to try. Willing to fail. Willing to be seen starting small. Willing to do it scared. Because while you're waiting for the perfect time, someone with half your talent and half your knowledge is out there getting results simply because they started. The illusion of the right time is just fear disguised as wisdom. It sounds responsible, it sounds logical, but often it's just an excuse, a well-dressed lie. You tell yourself you're planning, but really you're stalling. You tell yourself you're preparing, but really you're avoiding. And deep down you know it. Deep down you can feel the pull, the voice inside you telling you to move. That inner push isn't going to go away because it's connected to your purpose. Your future is trying to reach you, but it can't if you keep waiting. You gotta move toward it. There will always be reasons to wait. Always something that isn't quite right. Always a fear you haven't silenced yet. Always evil at the back of your mind. But guess what? There will also always be strength inside you. There will always be a spark of courage, a whisper of purpose. And that's what you need to listen to. Not the fear, not the doubt, but the voice that says, you were made for more. That voice is trying to wake you up because every dream you have depends on your ability to start before you're ready. Progress is born from messy beginnings. Nobody talks about the rough first draft, the awkward first video, the clumsy first speech, but they all matter, they all count, and they all lead somewhere if you keep going. The magic is in the doing, and the more you do, the more you become. You become more confident, more skilled, more experienced. But none of that happens if you stay stuck waiting for perfection. Don't let fear trick you into believing that hesitation is safety. It's not. It's a slow death to your potential. You don't have to have the whole plan. Just take the next step. One move, one action, one bold decision. That's how momentum is built. One small push at a time. And once you build it, it gets easier. The resistance fades, the fear quiet, the belief grows, but it starts with a choice. Your choice to act today, not tomorrow, not when you will feel better, now. So don't wait. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait until you're confident. Don't wait for approval. Don't wait for permission. Give yourself the green light. Move forward with shaky hands, with butterflies in your stomach, with uncertainty in your heart, but move anyway. Because your destiny doesn't belong to the most prepared or the most talented. It belongs to the bold, the ones who move, even when it's hard, even when it's scary.